As pioneers journeyed westward in the mid-1800s, their lives were filled with challenges, adventure, and the promise of a new future. But amid the hardships, one question persisted daily: what's for dinner? The food eaten on the Wagon Trail was more than mere sustenance. It was a lifeline. In the harsh and unforgiving conditions, where illness and injury were as much a threat as hunger, what pioneers ate could mean the difference between survival and starvation. The Oregon, California, and Mormon Trails were treacherous routes that stretched thousands of miles. For those venturing into the frontier, the food they brought needed to withstand extreme conditions: heat, cold, dust, and even contamination from livestock. Space was limited on these wagons, and every item had to be carefully considered. Weight was a constant concern, as overloaded wagons would slow progress or break down. Pioneers had to pack food that was lightweight, non-perishable, and easy to prepare over open fires. Dry, preserved, and portable foods were key to their survival. But the choices were few, and often monotonous. Meals were designed to fuel the body, not to tantalize the taste buds. So what did pioneers eat on the trail? Their diet was composed of basic, hearty foods that could endure weeks or even months of rough travel. Let's take a look at some of the staples that filled their bellies and sustained their spirits. One of the most iconic foods of the trail was hardtack. This rock-hard, biscuit-like bread was made of simple flour, water, and salt. It was baked to a brick-like consistency to preserve it for long periods. Hardtack was cheap to make and could last for months, though its toughness meant pioneers had to soak it in water or coffee to make it chewable. Dried beans were another critical foodstuff. Packed with protein, beans provided much-needed nutrition for travelers. They were easy to store, lightweight, and could be boiled over a campfire. However, the preparation took hours, so meals of beans were often planned well in advance. Bacon, or salt pork, was a luxury for many on the trail. The fatty, salty meat provided essential calories, and the salt helped preserve it. Kept in barrels, bacon was one of the few sources of protein that pioneers could count on. The bacon grease that remained after cooking was often used to flavor other foods, as spices were a rare commodity on the trail. Cornmeal was another staple, used to make a variety of dishes such as corn dodgers and johnny cakes. It was versatile, lightweight, and filling, making it an essential part of the pioneer diet. While dried goods and preserved foods were essential, pioneers couldn't rely solely on what they brought from home. Foraging and hunting were crucial for supplementing their diets. Many pioneers brought livestock along the trail. Cattle and pigs were valuable assets, providing fresh meat when needed. Cattle could be driven alongside the wagon train, while pigs were often kept for their ability to forage for food. Along the way, pioneers would gather wild berries, nuts, and herbs, depending on the season and location. These foraged items not only provided much-needed variety, but also added essential vitamins to their otherwise bland diet. Hunting was a regular activity for many men on the trail. Deer, rabbits, and squirrels were common game, while buffalo provided large quantities of meat when available. Fresh meat was a welcome change from the preserved foods they ate most of the time, though game was not always plentiful, and hunting took time and skill. When a buffalo was brought down, the meat was often dried or smoked to preserve it for future use. Jerky became a trail staple, as it was portable and provided protein on the go. However, large game like buffalo or elk could be unpredictable, and some days, hunters came back empty-handed. Cooking on the trail was a challenge in itself. With no stoves, ovens, or modern conveniences, everything was cooked over open fires or small camp stoves. Pioneers had to be resourceful, making do with what little they had. The Dutch oven was one of the most valuable tools for cooking on the trail. This heavy cast-iron pot could be used for baking bread, simmering stews, and roasting meats. Its versatility made it a cornerstone of trail cuisine. Meals were often simple affairs. One-pot dishes like stews or porridge were common. They were easy to make and required minimal ingredients, but the taste was often bland. With limited access to fresh ingredients, Pioneers relied on salt, if they had it, to add flavor. Water was just as important as food, but finding clean water sources on the trail could be difficult. Rivers, streams, and lakes were the main water supplies, but these sources were not always safe to drink. Many pioneers boiled their water to prevent diseases like dysentery and cholera, but not everyone had the time or fuel to do so. When they did have water, coffee was the drink of choice. Coffee beans were a prized possession, and brewing coffee became a morning ritual for many on the trail. It provided a much-needed boost of energy and a sense of comfort amid the hardships. Coffee was often accompanied by hardtack or johnny cakes for breakfast, while dinner might consist of beans or a simple stew. Meals were functional, not extravagant, but they provided the energy needed to face the long days ahead. Food on the trail was scarce at times, and pioneers often had to ration their supplies. Illness, accidents, or delays could deplete their food stocks, leaving families hungry. Hunger was a constant companion on the trail, especially during harsh winters or long stretches without access to game or water. When food ran low, creativity became a survival skill. Pioneers adapted by stretching their supplies, making soups or gruels from whatever ingredients they had left. But even these meals couldn't stave off the physical toll of malnutrition. Diseases like scurvy, caused by a lack of fresh fruits and vegetables, were common. Sickness related to poor diet was a constant threat, and for some, it was fatal. The lack of vitamin C led to bleeding gums, weakness, and eventually death if left untreated. For many, the journey westward was not just about surviving the trail, but surviving the hunger and hardship. It is estimated that 1 in 10 died on the trail. Despite the hardships, the food on the Wagon Trail represented more than just sustenance. It represented the determination, resourcefulness, and resilience of the pioneers. They faced incredible challenges, yet they pressed on, driven by the dream of a new life in the West. Their meals may have been humble, but they were a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure. In each piece of hardtack, every bowl of beans, and each sip of coffee, the pioneers found the strength to continue their journey into the unknown. This is the story of survival. This is the story of the pioneers. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. Thank you all.